life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a weed. We're going to get started in just a minute. So the final request for players, which is the posters down the third base line. We'll get started in just a moment.
Outside, keep his hands dirty, take a little time, give a boy a Bible, teach him how to pray, thank the good Lord at the end of the day, wake him up early, teach him how to work, spend his own money, show him what it's worth, yeah. He's gonna know it all, he'll slip and he'll fall, he'll pick himself up, amen. Yes sir, yes ma'am, show him how to be a man, so one of these days he can.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to the celebration of life for our coach, Coach Johnson. And what a perfect setting this is, Mike Johnson Park. In 2012, the park was named the #1 high school baseball facility in the state of South Carolina. That was based on factors like quality, history, and atmosphere. Today it hosts nothing but great memories of a great guy. Before we get started, I'd like for members of the Johnson family to please stand, extended family, that could be half the building, but if y'all could please stand. Michael. Coach Johnson wore the number 20. We've all seen it many times, hands in his back pockets, but he had the number 20 on the back of his jersey. So for the next 20 seconds, we're going to honor Coach with 20 seconds of silence. Thank you. We now would like to have former Georgetown baseball player, I think 91 or 93, I always get it wrong. See, I was close, 99, I had the right decade. Jamie Dunn to give the invocation.
Good afternoon. Let me give you a little brief rundown before I pray, if that would be all right with y'all. Michael called me this morning and said that he would like for me to kind of open this thing up with a prayer. And when I hung the phone up, I walked back into the den where my children were, and I couldn't do anything but just weep and cry and think about all of the times that I would talk with Coach Johnson, and he would just give me nuggets of wisdom and advice and scripture that would ultimately bring me to the point to where I'm at now. Most of y'all know me, and in high school was probably some of the most lowest points of my life. Some of the most dreadful, I don't even know how to describe it. I was tangled up in a bunch of stuff that I probably shouldn't even have lived through. But Coach Johnson saw me through the lens of how Jesus sees every single one of us. He saw the finished product. He saw the fruit of somebody that stays diligent if you keep pumping Jesus to him. And that's what he did. He didn't get hung up in the lies I told him and all of the practices I missed and lied and got expelled from school and back to school, and he sewed into me in the middle school, and then I got kicked out of school and couldn't play, and he saw through all of that. And somebody to do that, to be able to see past all of that and still welcome me when every time I saw him, it didn't matter who was around, and it didn't matter how dirty I got and how nasty I was, he would always extend his hand out, shake my hand, and tell me, Jamie, it's so good to see you. And I didn't hear that from a lot of people at that stage of my life. Man, what a blessing it was to know this guy. And he was that figure to a lot of people that played ball for him. He really, really was. People that had daddies, that had fathers, that had those figures in his life. He was that plus some to the players that played for him and the people that had encountered him in their life. Man, what a great guy he was. I'm not going to sit up here and try to win all of you guys to the Lord, which I would love to sit here and do, but I know there's other people that's prepared speeches that will probably be much better than mine. But what I do want to say is that he used to tell me there was two things that really stuck out. One was we still separate the sheep from the goats. And he would say that often. And in this world where people live how they want to live, but they want the God results in their life, maybe the reason we're not seeing the God results is because we're living the way we want to live and not the way he's called us to live. And the other thing is that he would always tell me is, the road to destruction is very wide, and there'll be a lot of people on it. But the road to everlasting life is very narrow, and few find it. I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm in that few. And I know without a shadow of a doubt right now it's running around in y'all's minds. Am I on the path or am I off the path? You know that better than anybody else. So I would encourage you to get on the path. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, there was a time in my life when I didn't even care about you. There was a time in my life when I didn't want to have anything to do with you. I would run from you. I didn't accept you. I didn't call you my Savior, my Father, or my Redeemer. But Lord, today I do. And Lord, today I pray a special blessing over this family. What a miracle it was to come from the depths of hell, to be pulled out, drawn out, encouraged by such a man like Coach Johnson to be able to stand before these people today and talk about you. Holy Spirit, do what only you can do in the hearts of these people around here. And Lord, make this day really, truly be a celebration of a great man that we all have come to know and love and cherish. Bless this family. Lord, I pray a special blessing of peace over them. I pray that you fill their hearts with compassion for each other. Because, Lord, this kind of stuff is just not easy. But, Lord, I know that you'll do your part. And, Lord, I pray that we just all get in line to be soldiers for your kingdom. Holy Spirit, have your way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, I think it's no doubt that God reached out to Mike this morning, Mike, the middle one, and said, you need to call Jamie. He'd be the perfect person. So Michael, sorry. Yes. Now we're going to have the national anthem, and would like Mrs. Meredith Tompkins Marsh come forward.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we've hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Meredith. And thanks for the airplanes. When Michael called and asked if I'd do a little bit of this today, I told him I was honored. I always loved being in the press box watching Coach Johnson, and he always made us laugh, and we're always so proud of him. This afternoon, I kept looking down the third baseline, expecting to see Coach Johnson in his khakis, his plaid shirt, his Georgetown jacket, and his Georgetown hat, hands in the back pockets, strolling across the infield, saying hey to folks, and he's going to get him some hot dogs. Yep, with chili. The only way to eat them, according to him. But now, that's not the case today. But unless you close your eyes real tightly, just for a moment, once again, you'll see Coach Johnson. And this is a little fellowship moment for us. We want everybody to reach over. This is a family. This is a fellowship. These are your friends. We want everybody to just say hey to the person beside you. If you're a former player, a fan, or just friends of the Johnsons. We want everybody to do that for a moment. Then if we do that, if you took infield, we're going to do this at the same time. If you took infield practice, there's a certain song Coach Johnson said, we're going to play, and we're getting ready to play. Keep greeting each other. Thank y'all very much. You can hear Coach Johnson say, all right, let's turn two. And the infield practice will continue on. We're going to recognize some of the ball players that played for him. Will any players from the 1971 Howard Tigers please stand? Along with that, we want y'all to keep standing. Anybody that played on the 2013 Georgetown team. These are the first and last teams Coach Johnson coached here in the county. We thank y'all very much. Coach Johnson's, I won't say most favorite, because it might be an English person here, but his favorite comment about that, you say, Coach Johnson, what was the first win you got at Howard? He said, well, Isaac was the coach, and I beat him. So Coach Johnson's first win, a high school coach, was beating Coach Joe Isaac, who was coaching Georgetown at the time. Now we're going to recognize teams by their decade. I'm going to call out your decade. If you'll stand for a moment, be recognized, and we'll move on to the next decade, because we have some speakers. We want to make sure we give them plenty of time. You played for Coach Johnson between 1970 and 1979, including the Howard guys. If you played for Coach Johnson between 1980 and 1989, some of you are in school a long time. We hope you get past this one. If you played for Coach Johnson between 1990 and 1999. Big crowd. If you played for Coach between 2000 and 2009. And finally, if you played for Coach Johnson from 2010 to 2013. His final coach year was Coach Woody Woodall has been standing for a while. All right, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the Mayor of Georgetown, Carol Giroux.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon. It is truly an honor to stand here today in this special place that bears his name, Mike Johnson Park, surrounded by family, friends, and players whose lives were forever changed by one remarkable man, Mike Johnson. Coach Johnson was more than a baseball coach. He was a teacher, a mentor, and a steady hand who shaped generations of young people, not just into better athletes, but into better men. For more than 40 years, Coach devoted himself to this community and to the game he loved. His true legacy lives in the lessons he taught: hard work, humility, teamwork, and perseverance. He believed that baseball was not just about bats and gloves, but it was about life. He taught his players how to handle success with grace and how to face challenges with courage. Those lessons reached far beyond the field and echo still as shown today by this tremendous crowd. Today, as we celebrate his life in this park that stands as a lasting tribute to his influence, let's remember Coach Johnson not only for the games he won, but for the hearts he touched and the lives he shaped. Georgetown is a better place because of Mike Johnson. On behalf of the city of Georgetown, thank you, Coach, for giving us your time, your heart, and your example. You will always be a part of this city's fabric. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Now I'd like to introduce the head baseball coach of the Georgetown High School Bulldogs, Coach Paul Shino.
On behalf of the Johnson family, I'd just like to thank everybody for being here. Really, really appreciate you taking the time to get here. And I think Coach would be a little disappointed if I didn't take a second to thank some people that impacted me in being at this wonderful place, Georgetown. He was the ultimate connector, unifier, team builder. And there's some people that I need to thank that without them in my life, I wouldn't be here. I would really like to thank, first and foremost, Michael and Alicia for everything you guys have done specifically to help me my first 3-4 months here. Take care of this park, everything we need to do, take care of those young men right there and keep this proud tradition of excellence going. I couldn't have done it without y'all. Danny Sia, first person that brought me here, 1984. I was a freshman at University of South Carolina, didn't know anybody. Came down from New York. Had nowhere to go for Thanksgiving. Dan brought me to Georgetown so I could eat with his family. Didn't have to stay in the dorm by myself. He took me hunting and fishing. Saw my first alligator in Winyaw Bay. About had a heart attack. Didn't know what to do. I thought about jumping out of the boat and realized that wouldn't be a good idea because there's about 3 or 4 alligators all over the place. And he's just laughing. And if you know Dan, he has one of the best laughs in the world. Thank you, Dan. One of the things that excited me most about coming to Georgetown to be the head coach was to be able to reconnect with him. One of the finest people I ever met in my life. So Coach Johnson helped me connect with some amazing people. I'd also like to thank Coach Assy, Coach Berry, Coach McLeod, coaches that I've had the privilege to work under. Coach Assy's from Georgetown. The first time I came to Mike Johnson Park was 1994. Coach Assy always wanted to bring his teams down so he could play on the same field with Coach Johnson. And I'll never forget one night we were here. It was a Friday night. Georgetown beat us. Well, Coach Assy asked Coach Johnson if he could keep the lights on. Coach Assy said, "I know how to lock up. You go home, Coach. We need to practice." And Coach Assy kept us out here, took in and out. He was hitting balls into the center field bleachers and making our outfields go get them. It was crazy. I'd also like to thank the former coaches before us. After Coach Johnson, Coach Benny Waddle. We've known each other a long time. It's an honor and a privilege always to be on the same field, and you've taught me a lot over the years. And I hope that each day we can make you proud. Coach Jason West, one of my best friends, and Coach Tyler Vick. My current coaches, Justin Johnson, Colin Russell, Brett Tompkins, Heath Todd, my right-hand man, groundskeeper, Billy Sports. I've had many dozens of people come up to me and tell me how nice the park looks. Well, that's Billy. He spends every day here. He cuts the grass 3 or 4 times a week, edges, weed eats. Just 2 days ago, we had a foot of water in the dugout. He got the pump working. I could not get it working. He got it working, and I just can't thank him enough. And man, did he love Coach Johnson. My players. You're the diesel on the campfire, guys. You guys are the reason I get up every morning, ready to go. I can't thank you enough for welcoming me, someone you didn't know at all, with open arms, and for working so hard, being such good young men, and to just getting better every day. I love every second I'm with y'all. I'm proud to be on the same team with y'all. Just keep working hard. Good things are ahead for us, I promise you. Last but not least, my wife and my children. My wife, Michelle, my daughter, Madison, my son, Tillman. Thank you for encouraging me to take this leap of faith, to leave our home, come 3 hours away, and do something that's the greatest honor of my life. It's the greatest joy in my professional, as far as professionally speaking, greatest joy I've ever had, and it's a great honor. There's a lot of love here in the park. I can feel it. Y'all know it. Coach loved y'all, and y'all loved him. That's why you're here. I think we all could agree, as lives go for human beings, Coach Johnson's life was not just a home run. but it was a grand slam in the bottom of the seventh of a state championship game. And this is like one giant dog pile, just like they did in 1988. All of us look down, and he's the #1 Bulldog fan. And we will do everything we can every day to make him and all the people I've mentioned before proud. Lastly, our job is to keep Coach in our hearts and our minds. We live every day to work hard, do good things, treat people right. We try and make him proud each and every day, and that way he stays with us forever. Thanks again for being here. Please come back in the spring. It's real important for these young men to see you former players come around and tell them stories. It means the world to us. Thanks again.
Michelle Shino, so we can see you, welcome you to Georgetown and Mike Johnson Park. She's here somewhere. She's here. Welcome. We look forward to seeing you live. And you'll like hot dogs with onions, she'll remember. Well, now, get into some speakers here, some reflections on the life of Coach. Now it's my honor to introduce Mike Johnson III. He's Coach Johnson's grandson, a current Georgetown baseball player, football player, basketball player, and if I had another sport he could play, he'd play that. Mike.
First off, I just want to thank everyone for being here. It means so much to me and my family. And it just shows how much of an impact he had on not just Georgetown, but the whole state of South Carolina. And it just means so much, and thank y'all for being here. I'd like to start off with a Bible verse from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1-8. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. This verse means that God has a plan for everything. It reminds us to be patient and understand that life's changes and experiences each have their own timing and reason. Everything happens for a reason, and while we might not understand it here on earth, God has a plan, and it's better than we could ever imagine. There are so many amazing memories and stories with my grandpa, and it's so hard to just pick one. From playing football in the backyard in Clemson, to going and watching Clemson baseball games, to playing golf in his front yard when he would make a whole course for me and Davis. We do stick races in the ditch after a rainy day, and going deer hunting every Saturday. And we'd come down here and go putt-putt every summer, and he always claimed he won every single game, no matter what happened. Which I don't know if me and Dave completely agree with that. But the memories that stick out the most are the ones from this field. When we lived in Clemson and would come down here to visit, I always wanted to go to the baseball games. Before the game, we'd go in the outfield and throw, and sometimes he'd even let me throw out the first pitch. And then once the game started, we'd sit right in those chairs and eating the famous chili dogs from the concession stands and watch some Georgetown baseball. So when I found out we were moving down to Georgetown, I was so excited to get to play here at this amazing field with amazing people, and best of all, I knew that my grandpa would be able to see me in a Bulldog uniform. Him and my grandma were at every game, home or away, no matter what sport, always supporting me, which I'll never forget. Even when he started slowing down, he always had a smile on his face when he was at the field. whether it was in the locker room or in the stands or eating nachos and chili dogs. I will forever cherish all the amazing memories and moments with him, but especially the ones right here at this special park. There truly is something special about this place, and I'm so grateful he was able to see me and my teammates play together at one of his favorite places in the world. And even though he physically isn't here anymore, he will always have a front row seat right next to God cheering on his Bulldogs. Thank you for everything. Love you, Pop.
Thank you, Mike. Representing Coach Johnson's very first team, the 1971 Howard Tigers, Tony Jordan and Donald Gilliard.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon. How much more time we got? 20 minutes? Someone mentioned about Mike being here. Did y'all notice the jets flying over after the prayer? Jamie, I think Mike said, was telling us all hello. It's good to see everyone. It's truly an honor for me to, and members of our first team over here, to participate and celebrate our coach's life today. Especially here at this beautiful Mike Johnson Park. No doubt we would not be in this park today without our coach's vision, initiative, determination, and leadership many years ago. Many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're all blessed to be here and look forward to future generations enjoying this special place that is full of special memories. I mean, just look around, see our coach everywhere. His first teams are now, many of us are age 69 and older. I know we don't look that old, but we were. Back in the day, our coach was 23. He was either 23 or 24. That's my calculation. Some 54 years ago. Unbelievable. Our team members during the early days, we all loved. We all became close, like all you special guys here in your teams, and how much we love about the game of baseball. I want to just call out their names briefly. Many of you recognize them. Barry High, Michael Voss, Kenny Voss, Billy Sports, Bobby Sports, L.B. Howell, Ricky Williams, Cleveland Sessions, Tim Ward, Mike Cooper, Greg Elliott, Dean Jordan, James Simmons, Eugene Gibson, Anthony Ragg, Michael Sessions, Michael Addison, myself, Michael Bouchette, his brother. And all of us remember Little Man, right? Yeah. Marvin Bouchette. You know, how many coaches would have the wisdom, right, to have back then Marvin was our trainer. But Mark had the wisdom, Coach had the wisdom back then to also include him on the roster. So Donald says, especially when the bases are loaded. So why would you have a little man on the roster? Anytime we needed a walk, right? Guess who was going to come up to the plate, right? And you know that was very successful for us. We got a walk 99% of the time until we played Von Wilson. There was a pitcher you guys know. He taught at high school. His name was Raymond LaPointe, right? Big, tall guy that could throw smoke 100 miles an hour, as I recall. Mark got up the bat, squatted down. His knees were about that high from the ground, right? Here comes the first pitch. Strike one. Marvin said, next pitch. Strike two. Marvin never knew it. Never knew it. Never saw the ball. Third pitch, same thing. Fourth pitch, same thing. All of us thought, did Marvin ever see the ball? Well, he was never intended to swing the bat anyhow. But he threw him three straight strikes, 4 inches above the ground, and he was out. What a love he was. We miss him. We miss him very much. At this time, I would like to call on one of our outfielders, a special friend of mine, to say a few things. Donald Gilliard. Donald.
Good evening. I played baseball and played football for Coach Johnson and was in his PE class when he first started. I've had an amazing relationship with this incredible guy. Here he was, of course, during this time in the 70s, African Americans were not a part of organized baseball. We were talented, we were athletic, but we hadn't had the privilege of being able to play in a structured little league. He recognized that early. But what he found out was there was some talent that we had that was inherent too. He found out that we could run fast. And so the strategist that he is, because some of you are not mentioning who he was as a coach. Let me tell you something. He was the best strategist in the state, bar none. Mike Johnson could coach. He could put together a strategy to win. And he knew that if we got on base, we were going to steal all the way to third. He knew that. And so we became a running team and a bunting team. And we beat teams that were more talented than we were. Why? Mike Johnson was our coach. And so we went into every one of our games knowing that we had the best coach on the field. We just had to measure up and hope we could do well. Personally, I wasn't a star. I played football and baseball on the team, but I wasn't a star like Anthony and Eugene was. I was a regular player on the team. And in life, things happen. And it had to have been 10 years after I graduated and left. I was having a hard time. And I ran into Coach Johnson. And so he asked what was going on with me and that sort of thing, and I told him. I told him I was trying to get a car, and he says, well, you went to the bank? I said, they're not going to give me no money, Coach. I said, I ain't got no credit. He said, come on, I'll take you to the bank. This is a true story. And he took me to, at that time it was Andrews Brothers Bank over there, and signed a note for $5,000 so I could get a car. That's what the kind of man he was. And I wasn't a star player, I was a regular player for him. This man just represented the best in all of us. He really did. There's no finer man than Coach Mike Johnson. And if he was running for me, I'm sorry, Carol, there would be no election. Oh, there'd be no election. Everybody voting for Mike Johnson. Didn't matter if he ran on the American Party or not. But he always gave us the best. Always cared about how we were doing as individuals. So thank you very much, Tony. I'm delighted to be up here. And I just want his family to know this man has made a difference in a lot of people's lives. My friend Eugene drove up this morning from Atlanta, Georgia, to be here. Thank you all very much.
Matter of fact, we have two players from Atlanta, Eugene and Anthony Wright. Anthony, stand up and be, you and Eugene stand up a little bit. Eugene was our star quarterback at Howard Community. Also had the opportunity to play for Howard, football and baseball. And, you know, back in the day, Mike's mentor was Tommy Smith, a coach that was admired and respected for many years. Y'all can have a seat. And Coach respected him highly, and we certainly miss him as well. So you might ask how we, and I'm going to finish up soon here, but you might ask, how did we start a coach with no players, right? So one day, there was about 4 or 5 of us, 3 or 4 of us are here. We were at Hardy's on I think it might have been on a Saturday, I'm not sure. We were getting some lunch, right? Hardy was the place to be. And all of a sudden we were eating and so forth, and here comes a man called Mike Johnson. And Mike had just graduated from Erskine, and he was about 24 then, I guess. He says, boys, and he says, I'm going to be the new baseball coach at Howard. It's the first time they've ever had a baseball team. I need some players. I want y'all to consider coming to Howard. So sure enough, we all went home, talked to our parents, and that's where we ended up, and that's how we started a baseball team. Back then, like Eugene said, 50%, it was saying, about 50% of us had played organized ball. The other 50% had never set a step on the field. Our good African-American friends and brothers. Yes, he made real players out of everybody. Imagine that challenge, right? So the first 2 years, we all worked hard to regroup and learn a lot about the game, especially half of us that learned how to play in the wind. What a great example he was to all of us. But he had to recruit his team. And I don't know that he ever stopped that all his life, right? He was always recruiting players, for sure. Actually, Anthony and Donald played a little bit at rec ball back in the day, too, which was unheard to see many black folks back in that day play ball. No telling how many gloves and shoes Coach purchased for us, because we were all poor boys. We were poor, but we didn't know it. Coach always treated his players with respect. In turn, we've always played hard, worked hard, especially preparing the ball fields for games play. You see, your teams now, we had to rake these fields and do our part. You see, we didn't have much choice. So did we win any games? Well, after the first 2 years, regrouping, trying to win, yeah, we won some games with Winyall. I think Charlie Ashley's, he's here. He'll confirm that. That was always a great team rival in town, right? The Howard Tigers and the Winyall Gators. In 1973, we lost the final conference game to Hanahan, 3-1. Hanahan went on to win the state championship back then. My brother Dean was at the bottom, about the 7th inning, I think. It was a fly ball. We were leading. He claims the sun got in his eye. Well, guess what? The ball fell down, 2 runs scored, and we lost the game. But what great times that was. So, in 1974, and by the way, I will say something positive about my brother. He was one of the only players on the team that earned all conference back in the day, a real honor. In 1974, it was going to be a big year. We won the first 4 games. However, only 3 of the last 12 games. And I know this was what Mike was thinking. It was going to be our year as well. But we all know we make mistakes when we're in school. So 5 of the starters, crazy heads here, like us. I was one of them. Back then, we would sneak off the grounds at lunch and go get lunch, come back, sneak back in, go to class. Well, I remember the principal, D.H. Straighten, reminding all of us, kids, students, do not leave the school grounds at lunch. You're not allowed to, please. We still left. We had 3 conference games that week, and we were suspended. Well, we knew what Coach Johnson was going to do to us, or we could imagine. Y'all can share with that, right, over the years, right? So we all got together, and we decided to pay a visit to the principal's house. That took a lot of courage, I remember. So after school, we went to his house. We got on his front porch. We knocked on his door. He came out, and we said, Mr. Drayton, we are so sorry for leaving this school grounds. We shouldn't have had to do this. But we've got 3 conference baseball games this week, and we've got to play. We're asking you to please allow us to go back. We'll never leave again. He looked at us and said, I sure do admire you guys for taking the nerve to come in here. But however, you should have thought of that before you walked off the ground. Now, this is going to come and go, but you're going to have to pay the price for it. So needless to say, what happened? Those stands out there, the only thing I can remember is how many times we had to run up and down those stands. But what was really the big deal is he lined us all up right here, the whole team. He started marching back and forth. Y'all know, Cook, preach, right? Back and forth. I can't believe what y'all did. The most important week of the year. How can y'all do this? And this makes me so mad that I could eat dirt. He grabbed a handful of dirt, threw it in his mouth. It's all we could take not to bust out laughing. You guys remember that? Fast forward about 25 years at my office, he was one day in there talking with me about his insurance. I said, Coach, I got to ask you something. You remember that time that you ate that dirt when we were suspended? Why did you eat that dirt? He started laughing. He said, well, son, when I reached down, I did not mean to grab that dirt. But when I grabbed it, I had to follow through. So, what memories? We let him down. We let him down. We didn't win but 2 of the next 12 games. And then the final thing that I want to tell you about that is he loaded us all up. Y'all remember we loaded up in that blue Chevrolet? What did he do? He took us all to the Atlanta Braves ball game. Can you imagine how exciting that was? So I don't know how many of us in there. I remember that Chevrolet being like this going down the interstate. We got a hotel, right? Not only did he take us to that ball game, we had a great time. He took us to underground Atlanta. So all those kids, he was right with us, and we were just checking all that out. So we had a big time. And then the next morning we got ready to go to school. There was the Little Rascals on TV, and Spanky came on there, and that's where I got my nickname of Spanky. So there's Tony Jordan. He looks just like Spanky. We love this man, our coach, our mentor, and later our friend. He always, like Jason said, he demonstrated Christ to us in his life. It's been a tremendous blessing to watch and experience his coaching career and amazing accomplishments. Always demonstrating Christ in his life. We're blessed in this audience now to have a lot of great coaches. Some of the generations coached. Your children have coached. Thank you all to you coaches. You mean a lot to our community. You mean a lot to society. You mean a lot to family, and we thank you. Lisa, Michael, Megan, during those 4 years, we often teased Coach many times about dating and getting married. Coach clearly informed us. To us, you see, he was older, although he was probably 25 years old, right? He didn't even want us to have a girlfriend, right? He wanted us to focus on baseball. So I think he pretty well got tired of us talking about that. He says, I want to tell you guys something. When I decide to fall in love and get married, you all will know that I have found the love of my life. And we will raise athletes together. Remember it, guys? I remember it clearly. Fast forward a few years, it turns out that Lisa Owens of Georgetown turned out to be Coach's dream wife. We thought it never happened in our minds, right? Together, indeed, they raised 2 of Georgetown's best athletes, Michael and Megan Johnson. Not only is Coach a Hall of Fame member, but so is also his son and daughter, as y'all know, Michael and Megan. Yes. Wow. Not only good athletes, but good inside and out. But Lisa, we want to say, where's Lisa? There she is. If there's a Hall of Fame for coaches' wives, we believe Georgetown would nominate you to be on top of that list. Truly. Hey. You did much more than raise special athletes with Mike, but you showed unwavering devotion to your husband, your children, and to the game of baseball. We also honor you in our hearts, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, for all your support and what you have done.
Thank you, Tony and Donald. Lisa is in that Hall of Fame. Tell you, when the coach was playing for his 500th victory, I was in the press box, and I had to go where I go a lot, over that little room. I'm running through, and Lisa's hiding behind the pole. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "He can't know I'm here." I said, "Why is that? If we lose, it's my fault." So she knew when to hide. All right, now we're going to a father and son that represent the very best of Georgetown High School baseball. Kevin Woodall, the class of 1990, is a member of the Georgetown High School Athletic Hall of Fame. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year, drafted in the 6th round by the Texas Rangers. Woody Woodall, a 2014 graduate from Georgetown High School, he played for the 2016 National Championship team for Coastal Carolina, and Woody was a 10th round draft pick of the St. Louis Cardinals. I asked Woody, I said, "You're holding you to 20 minutes. He said, 20 seconds? I don't know. Go.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today for the celebration of the coach, Mike Johnson. You got me now? All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming today for the celebration of life for Coach Mike Johnson. I knew Coach Johnson in many aspects of his life. One was I had him for driver's ed education at high school my freshman year. If you knew anything about Coach Johnson, it was that he did not get anywhere on time. And I had him first period. So we didn't get a lot of driving done at that time, in that class. Then I went on, I was part of J&J Wood Products. And I raked straw for him, cut firewood sometimes, whatever we needed to do, whenever we needed to get it done. Then as a coach, I have tremendous respect. He was a tremendous influence, a positive influence in my life. I can still hear him back many years ago. The gate wasn't over here, and then one time it moved back here. But before all of that, you could hear him come through the gate every day around 3:30. I can hear him right now, unlocking the gate, and I can hear the chain rattling against the fence. And when you heard that, you know Coach Johnson was here. It was time to tighten up. And he comes right on across the field, get with Coach Isaac, and we begin practice. I hunted with him for 25 years, and he taught me valuable lessons out in the woods also. I will never forget and cherish the time I spent with him then, him and his family. There is one thing that he always did, and he always had a plan. It didn't matter if you were in the car driving with him in class or hunting with him in the woods or out on the ball field. And he always had a plan. There was only one time in all of those years that I seen him that he didn't have a plan. We happened to be on one of our Florida trips. And we had had enough of baseball. It was right after he coached us to state championship in baseball, 1988, 89, somewhere along there. He decided, well, we've had 2 hard days of practice. We're going to do something different. We're going to give them a break, have a little team bonding. So he decided we're going to go to the movies. So we get on the vans, we get going to the movie theater. Coach Johnson, somebody in the back said, "Hey, Coach, what we going to see?" He said, "We're going to see a baseball movie." So everybody was all right. He said, "Yeah, we might be able to learn something, take it in, for our practice later on, help us out down the road somewhere." Well, we got off the vans, and somebody said, "Hey, Coach, we're getting ready to get in line. What's the name of this movie we're getting ready to go see?" He said, "Bull Durham." I said, "Man, that don't sound like no baseball movie, huh?" Anyway, we proceeded. We went into the movie, and within the first 5 or 6 minutes, I'm sure everybody's seen the movie. This was the unedited version before they cleaned it up like you see today on television. But I look back at Coach Johnson. He was sitting behind everyone where he could keep his eyes on everyone. And I looked at his face and I said, he does not have a plan for this. We finished the movie. We went on, got back on the vans. Some of the guys started talking about the movie. And he very quickly said, "That's enough. Let's not talk about that movie." Whenever he was real short with it. So nobody else talked about the movie from there on. But looking out today in the crowd, I'm glad to see, I know that his legacy will be carried on with Michael, Megan, little Mike, and Davis. It's good to see that. To Lisa, I'd like to thank you for letting him be my coach and my friend. God bless you.
I thought he was a man of few words. Hey everybody, I'm Woody Woodall, and as you just heard from my dad, he and Coach shared a lot of memories, a lot of years, a lot of wins, a lot of time together, and probably a few arguments over batting average or putting holes in the brick wall over here. Growing up as his son and with Coach Johnson around, I didn't stand a chance of ever being the best ball player in the family, and Coach made sure to remind me of that plenty of times. He'd pat me on the shoulder and say something like, "Well, Woody, you got the heart of your dad. That arm strength will come along, you'll be something." But the thing was, that was Coach, and he had the perfect mix of honesty and humor. And as I got older, I got to spend a lot of the memories I have of him are not at the baseball field, but out at the hunting club. And I would quickly learn. I would just kind of watch him a little bit. And, he was a man of many words, but there was a lot of times I would just be paying attention, being quiet as a kid, and I would just watch him, and he would be examining things and not saying anything, hands in the pockets. He'd make a couple facial expressions, and I remember asking my dad, "What's he doing?" And could never get an answer. Could never get an answer out of him. But many times I remember just being in his truck on the hunting club, windows down. He'd be humming, and there'd be a pack of nabs in between us. He'd offer to me, and a pack of Red Man I could still smell today. Coach spent many years shaping young athletes, but more than that, he was shaping good people. I mean, there's a ton of folks that he touched in this community and all around, and taught us about teamwork, talked about humility, keeping things in perspective, and most importantly, he showed us how to laugh. That's one of the biggest things I took from him is don't have to be so serious all the time. Have a little fun. But one of the you know, going back to growing up as his son, I heard the stories. You know, everybody's heard the stories, but I've heard them. And you know, one of the last meaningful conversations I had with Coach Johnson was right outside the gate over here. I think it was 2018, and we were talking. He was asking me about. I just got drafted. He was asking me about pro ball and talking about Michael and his experience with it. One thing he said that stuck with me, that kind of was his tip of the cap to me, that I really appreciated, was we got to talking about Coastal baseball, winning the national titles, something I was lucky to be a part of. And he said, I still remember he said, you know, you've done something your father never did. And that was his tip of the cap to me. And I took that to heart and been reflecting on that over the last week and thinking about, you know, the good times that we spent, and, you know, thinking about the guys I played with that love Coach Johnson. So just want to say thank you, Coach, for the lessons, the laughter, and the love you poured in this community. You'll never be forgotten. And Coach, I promise I'm still working on that arm strength.
Well, next, I'd like to introduce a coach. Coach Ben Waddle. He's current coach of Broome High School. He's coached several places, including right here in Georgetown, Dorman, Malden, USC Upstate, Campbell University, Spartanburg Methodist, etc. And he's been inducted into the South Carolina Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame, and he notched his 500th victory on March 12th of this year. I don't know if his wife had to hide behind a pole anywhere during that game. But Coach Waddle.
If y'all don't mind, I want to get on this side. But before we start, one symbol of Mike Johnson. And I want you to do me a favor. Take a picture with your phone. I know everybody's got a phone right there. Y'all get your phone out. Take a picture of Jesus there. And when you need a Mike Johnson moment, look at your phone. Because that's what that man stood for. And to be here today, I'd like to thank a guy sitting up the stand, John Doherty. I was working for Coach Doherty. He sent me down here in 1989. And I had a letter, well, it was called South Carolina High School Sports Report. And Al Hudson and number one player, Woody. Wow. He and his son, I got to coach him right over there. And he brought me the letter that I hand wrote. I didn't tell him I didn't take typing at Johnson High School, so I had to handwrite letters. But that's what we did back in the day. First experience, I actually slept right over there. Y'all had a tournament going on. Pretty good day to meet Coach Johnson in 1989. That was when I first started coaching college baseball, one of the greatest men ever affected my life. I've had some great Mike Johnson, John Doherty. I got to say, you know, God takes care of babies and dumb people. I ain't got no diaper. He sent me two great robots. I thank you, and I thank you. But y'all get that picture, because I'm going to say some, I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to share some good, we celebrate. So I told you about the, hey, well, Woody, he's drafted. Wow, what about that? That's something, isn't it? And then his son's drafted. This one's drafted, okay? And if I had one for softball, Megan would have been drafted. So you think about all that, that's pretty sweet. I first heard of Georgetown. I grew up in Jonesville. We didn't come to the beach much. I didn't know anything about it much, actually. And Clint Sawyer, 1985, and Danny Seal, they were part of the club in Carolina. I was a manager. I wasn't good enough to play. I watched uniforms and chased back. But we got to go to the series in 85. But those are two great guys that first introduced us to. And y'all know the story about Hook's curveball. Totally. I still remember Jeff Woody sitting behind home plate laughing about it. Okay? But anyway, let's go on. Let's talk about a few things. I was able to, at Campbell University, come down here and recruit. I don't remember the year, but it's the year that the wall failed. Y'all had a bad storm. Wall fell, snowing, and I was at the Georgetown Inn, the one over there. I didn't know where to stay. So I stayed over there. That's bad. I ain't saying that. And I get up, the wall's falling, and they tell me, well, it's going to be a little while. Dr. Owens was running the tournament back then. So I get out, and Lord behold, it's snowing. Well, I'm back in Bowies Creek by 6 o'clock. Y'all not playing that time. So I went on back to the house, but I remember that experience too, right there. And Johnson and them was running around, him and Coach Curry, Coach Isaac, those guys, trying to get it ready. Been through a lot. Had some experiences with Malden. What a great time. The best call you can get as a South Carolina baseball coach is from Alicia Johnson in May or June and say, Coach, we'd like you invited down to our little tournament. Huh? Little? We there. Okay? We come. You are playing for the state championship the first week of the season. When you get to come to Georgetown, you're playing for the state. That's how good it is. It don't get no better. Best talent, best hospitality, best field. Come on now. Don't get any better than that. So we go on to Dorman. We had some pretty good situations there. Had some great players for us. Malden, Georgetown. I wanted to retire. People say, wow, how'd you end up down there? We'd been talking about this a couple of years. And he'd laugh at me. He'd laugh, oh, you're going to come on. Yeah, I am. I want to come. I got here a little early and we're playing. Okay? And then I get here, and wow, what an experience. I got to live in his daddy's house about 3 months, wasn't it, Miss Lisa? About 2-3 months, right across the yard from her. Then we lived down on the river about 2 months. And then I moved to Front Street. Front Street, you was able to experience the whole Georgetown deal. Coach Johnson came over one night. Well, I had them over for dinner with boys and mosquitoes. You know, I'm from the state. We don't have mosquitoes. Y'all got some mosquitoes down here. So we're trying, and I got them out. It's hot. You know, they got gourds over behind. I don't know what gourds are for, but them bears eat mosquitoes. So I figured that out later. But they're eating, and then one night, Coach Johnson comes over, and he's telling them about the bricks in the wall. I lived over the top of the art gallery. He said, you know, there was probably slaves built this thing. I went, yeah, Coach, I kind of read a little bit. He said, and he would tell me about all the things on Front Street. So I got a history lesson from it. And so just the experience of having that and just being able to give you the Mike Johnson way. When I called and told him I was coming, and as a coach, I'm coming a little early. I was kind of, you know, didn't know what to expect, what would I be accepted or whatever. He kind of laughed. I'm not laughing at you, Ben. I said, I'm laughing for me because I'm glad you come. I'm glad. And he really made me feel part of it. But I'd like to thank Lisa. I mean, every time I've talked with Lisa, we would talk before I got down here and things like that. But Lisa, just the parts of your life that you've given up, just from your family, from your aspect, the support and love you gave that guy to allow him to go. I know exactly the time you live away from him. But yet, you look at the effects of what you've got, it's going to be a generation. And just the love and care you gave all your support and your family and everybody around this community. He called you the professional. Talking about babies and diapers, right? He says, she used to make him out. I told him when the children was growing up, I said, you're the best. You need to get that diaper. You're good at it. You're the best. I didn't change no diapers. Loved it. Hey, that's just Mike Johnson. Well, I just want you to know you made it to the big leagues right there. So you are Mickey Mantle. And wow, what an experience. MJ, I remember I'd be at Clemson camp with him and then later Coach Leggett. I'd be asking for him. Is that Johnson boy coming? I'd get on that level, whatever. We was red, white, blues back then. I wanted MJ. He could play a little bit. So we got to know him through that. And I met Lisa first time at the Clemson camp from there, and Coach Johnson. Just loved seeing him. And what an experience. Michael didn't know it, but I'd always, I'd get him on my club. And I knew it with others. I always go to Coach Baggett. Coach, that Johnson boy coming? I need him. I'd go down to another group, bring him over with me. That's who I want. So I'll go. And if they make you mad, she know I love you to death. You're going to be great down here. Make him mad. We need him over there at Cowpits. We'll take it right now. We got his number. What number you want, son? We'll take it right now. We got a river. We ain't got one like y'all got, but it's a creek. But anyway, we'll take it. Megan. Wow. Wow. Breaks the home run record at Coastal in 3 years. Hall of Fame. There's a Hall of Fame right there. Coastal here, okay? MJ, we get a chance to go watch MJ in the Hall of Fame at Clemson. Coach Johnson, Hall of Fame with South Carolina baseball coaches, okay? And the athletic coaches. I sat right here one day. Alicia's got the picture. You got John McKissick and Mike Johnson sitting right there. That's amazing, okay? They're sitting there, and Joe Isaac. I said, Joe, take this ball. Sign this ball. Walk up to him and say, boys, y'all probably want this. He did. I thought I'd die laughing. Then Joe Isaac handed John McKissick and Mike Johnson a signed ball, and they took it and shot. Lord, they was laughing. Yeah, you know how that was. That was hilarious. David Curry. I remember one time, first week I now here we on the field. We just Johnson Park. I'm still pitching myself, you know. Curry comes down. Good one. I'm so glad you helped me. So why is that, Coach? All these years I've been telling Mike Johnson, he didn't know what he's talking about. Now I'm gonna use you and I'm gonna prove my point. We didn't prove no point, but anyway, it was good to see Curry. But you know, just the tradition behind it, to be able to be here, and that's the thing, Coach Sheeto. I know you will. You started with Charlie. I remember you and CA down there at BC. You calling pitches, and Lord, that program made a turn. And then you go on Dutch Fort, Chafin. You understand. And I'm so tickled for these young men, this community, that you're here. Because that tradition is going to be what you carry on. You've got to understand that. To understand this. Okay? So we just cherish you for that. Listen, the general manager, the work she puts in to have this every year. Let her run with it. Wow, you talk about good at what she does. Jason and BJ, boy, I love you guys to death. Just great people. Robbie Jordan, God bless his soul. You know, Robbie was here with us. And Jeremy Bonzo, I think he's an administrator now over at Waccamaw. We're not going to say that real loud, but I think he's over there. And just good people. Just good people to be around. And that's what Coach Johnson brought to the park. Couple things. Coach Johnson and I, we got kind of the nickname Gus and Woodrow. Y'all ever seen Lonesome Dove? I think he was Gus. I'm Woodrow. I'm the honorary one that says, Coach Johnson, we're native guys. Okay? Whatever. So we're sitting here with Gus and Woodrow. We have our time. So my first IP as a Georgetown coach, I'm sitting on my brown chair that I had from Malden. Had an old chair, with them old school chairs. And I took it with me everywhere we went. So I have my chair, I'm sitting there, getting ready to call the first pitch. Seth Walls behind the ditch. Watched that boy go through about every baseball camp in America. I remember Seth Walls. I'm getting ready to call the first pitch, and I feel a nudge. I look up, Mike Johnson. We getting ready to coach. What you want on your pizza? What? We're getting ready to order some pizza. What you want on that? Get out of here. You know, we're playing one night. I don't know if y'all remember kid Hunter Cole won the home run derby here winner. Get to play. They triple that. Hunter's missing balls way hard. I'm coaching at Norman Johnson sitting right down the corner. So Hunter comes up. I get down, way down. I'm way down the line. Way down. All of a sudden, I'm feeling pretty good. Hunter ain't going to pull one and kill me. I hear a plop. I look down. Mike Johnson has thrown me a glove to put on in the third base box in case Hunter hits me with the ball. I wouldn't have caught it, but I mean, and he just said, okay, love it. A few more Johnsons. We spent me in a time. I tell you what, as a man, he helped me. One night we were talking. He says, "Ben," he said, you know, I do appreciate you. He said, I see you more as a brother. And I felt good, but I didn't want to tell him I saw him more as a father. You won't make it mad. But he said that, and he made me feel good. I went through a divorce. I went through a divorce. God blessed me with another woman. But during that time, it was tough. Went through that stuff, got down here. Coach and I was talking, and he had a nephew going through a divorce. And he looked at me one night and said, "Ben, I really wish you'd talk to us when you get something. They're coming in for the holidays." He says, you seem like you've done a good job in your adjustments and what you're doing. And I think and for Mike Johnson to say that, wow, what a kudos, you know? So I just thank you for that. Not personally right then, but for Mike Johnson to say something like that, that you know, the good Lord's got me through some tough times. And I need to share that with him. And we'd go with Steve, the minister, and they'd talk about walks in the woods with Coach Johnson. Two new ministers mentioned it, and just the essence they had. But we'd go, and this was before Lisa and I got married. And we'd go to church, come back, and it's kind of like Blue Bloods. If you're over been Johnson Road on Sunday after church, they all sit down. They break bread after church. It's great. And anyway, Steve was talking, and the coach goes, "You heard what he said, didn't you? It's okay. You know, you're divorced. It's okay to remarry." He's letting me know. You got to be happy, man. And those were just subtle ways that Mike Johnson did that for us. So, to let you know just how blessed we are, I'll leave you with a couple of laughters. We're playing one day. I think I was coaching the Dorman. I think it was a Dorman. And you know the 3-foot line rule where the guys can't run out and tag, you know, we got a guy running the third. This guy's breaks the line. He had to break 5 foot over. Coach Johnson's open the dugout. And he goes, "Ben, why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you come to me?" I said, "Why, Coach?" He was coaching for Georgetown. I was coaching for Dorman. He was just in our dugout. We were playing somebody else. And he says, "Because I had my hat on." I said, "What are you talking about?" So one night we're playing. We're playing the first year here. I was his assistant love. And he got to telling me about the hat on. I said, "What are you talking about with your hat?" He said, "Oh, I got a rule in the umpire's know. If they wrong, I'll walk out and I'll question the call. And I got my hat off. They know they need to meet." And it all clicked. He had his hat off that day. But the funny thing, the hat off rule, I said, "Man, that's awesome." So he's telling the story. He says, "Yeah, let me tell you. I had this young kid one time. And I don't guess, I couldn't. I had my hat off. I went up there and I says, 'Jimmy, you got to meet. You blew this call.' I had my hat off. And I was talking to him. And I was livid. And I'm like, 'Jimmy, you got to get your partner. Y'all got to meet.' I had my hat off. We wouldn't meet. He wouldn't. So finally Johnson gave up and went in the dugout. Puts his hat on and comes back in between us and says, 'Jimmy.' No, I lied to you. He went out there and argued. He argued. So Jimmy comes in and he goes in between. And Johnson looked at me and says, 'Jimmy, why did you beat me?' He says, 'Cole, I lied because Johnson walked out.' And Jimmy looked, he says, 'Coach, you never took your hat off, so I didn't think you wanted us to really beat you.' So he didn't know the rule. I told that wrong. That was the hat off. Well, I want to leave you with this. Thank you, family, for having me. To stay here forever, please take that picture home with you, because that meant the world to you. Blessed by so many, and like I said, God's lineup just got stronger. Mike Johnson back and forth. Last time we saw him, 3 weeks ago, we met on Front Street. Lisa brought him, May came. We sat down and didn't know he was coming. Mike Johnson looks across the table. "Wow, sir. I never thought I'd see you again." And that made my, boy, what a feeling. Okay? I can't wait to see you again. Okay? Thank you.
Well, the next speaker was going to be no stranger, but it's a stranger because I think he had a lead, he had a conflict. But it's, if he shows back up, we'll throw him in the lineup. So Kyle Bunn is our next speaker, a 1994 graduate of Georgetown High School, a 1998 graduate of the Citadel, where he won the Ace Pitching Award 3 years in a row, as their outstanding pitcher. Kyle coached many years on the college level with stops at Alabama, Clemson, Ole Miss, Indiana, and Houston, among others. He tutored over 144 student athletes selected in the MLB draft, including 20 big leaguers, along with 24 top fifth round draft choices. Big word, I couldn't say it. Kyle.
Thank you, Mr. John. I'll be brief. Kind of figured it by now, but I have several things, basically stories that I'll tell that have been, I guess, impactful for me through the years. Because everywhere that I've been, that I have been fortunate enough to coach at, I've probably used some of the information and/or part of these stories from Coach Johnson. The earliest that I can remember being around Coach and really seeing him as that figure that walks into a room and commands the room and has that charisma about him years ago, and I know Mr. Ricky Rowe was right over here, used to do a spring break camp down at the recreation department, and I was probably close to Davis's age. I would say 11, 12, somewhere in there. We would go down there, you do spring break all week, and then if I'm not mistaken, they had a North-South tournament, which you would get a lot of teams from out of state that would come down here and play for the week. Well, while we were doing that, they would have a guest speaker at the end of the week, and the first time I can remember coming into contact with Coach Johnson was listening to him speak. And I can still remember the message that day that he gave us was, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth so that you could listen twice as much as you talked. And honestly, I have not had a pitching staff that I have not shared that message with. Sometimes my voice was raised a little bit, and then sometimes where I was just subtly giving them the same message. But to remember that as far back as being at that age, you know, I think that's pretty impactful. The next thing that I'll share with you that I can remember him sharing with us, and Jason West, wherever you're at, you may have to correct me a little bit on this story here. But if I'm not mistaken, Jason, when Jason went to the Marine Corps, he was able to write a letter home. And I couldn't remember whether he wrote the letter to Josh, his younger brother, who would have probably been a freshman that year, or whether he wrote the letter to Coach Johnson. But I do know that Coach Johnson read that letter to us at practice. And basically what Jason had to say in that letter was, Coach, the IP Classic's coming up, and make sure my brother knows I'm going to be nervous. He's going to be nervous. He said, and make sure you tell him that that's a good thing. Being nervous is a good thing. And then Coach Johnson kind of elaborated off of that with us and told us that, you know, being nervous, it means that you care. You're supposed to be nervous. You're supposed to have that little tingle in your stomach when things come about during a baseball game, because it means you're invested and you care. And I took that story with me, and I shared that with players that I had along the way. When I was basically going through the recruiting process at the Citadel, I had several guys that I was going to have to follow that had been very impactful, not only here, but it began to be impactful at the Citadel as well. Norman Howard and Joseph Isaac. So I was kind of the next in line that was going to have to do that, I guess, or at least was being recruited to do that. And I can remember, I know Doug Odom was here earlier. I don't know if Doug's still here or not. Doug and I were teammates in the time. The first time I ever went to visit the Citadel, Doug rode with me. I want to say it was maybe on a Sunday afternoon. I can't really remember. But had talked with the coaches that day, and they had used the word commitment. I had no idea what commitment meant. Had 2 parents worked at the steel mill, and we just really didn't have any idea what that was about in the recruiting process. And
can remember coming home and speaking with them briefly, but neither one of them really had any knowledge that they could give me. The only person I had to turn to ask about that was Coach Johnson. Had his truck parked right down here. He pulled in that gate down there, and he was backing it up and saw me, and he stopped, and he said, "How did the visit go?" And I said, "Coach, it went well." I said, "But I'm confused because they asked me if I wanted to commit to them. And I don't have any idea what that means." He stopped, he put the truck in park, turned the truck off, and he stayed seated and talked to me through the window, but he shared in his own way what commitment meant, and basically told me, if you're going to do that, you're giving them your word, and that's something that you need to stand by. So if you feel like you need to make a commitment, then you need to stand by your word when you do it. And I said, "Well, what do you think?" And he said, "Well, since you asked me, I think that that would be a very good place for you to go." And he kept it just that simple, cranked the truck back up, in reverse he went, and out there, and all I had left to do now was to somehow get back in touch with the Citadel and tell them that I was going to be a commitment. But I needed him then to fill a void that I had in my life, because he had more experience in that area than the folks that I had around me. And I got great parents, but that was the void they just couldn't fill. I'll leave you with this story here. Is probably my funniest one, but anybody who knows Coach Johnson real well, you'll understand this. In 2010, Michael, is that when we played Alabama at Clemson? Would that have been 2010? So I had previously coached the year before, 2009, at Clemson University. Michael and I were on the staff together there. Well, in 2010, I had moved to the University of Alabama, and us and Clemson were very much the same type of a clubs in the fact that we had a lot of really good players, but had a hard time putting it together consistently enough until the end of the season. And neither one of us, you all didn't host a regional, we didn't host a regional. We went to Georgia Tech. I think you guys went to Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. They won the regional there. We won the regional, so we're chosen to go to Clemson for a super regional. And we win game one of the super regional. Had a guy on the mound that ended up being a big leaguer for us. And if you've ever been to Clemson's baseball field, down the left field line, there's kind of the Gervais Center, I believe, and there used to be an area there where you park the buses. Well, we had 2 buses we had brought over from Alabama just to give the players a little bit more room. And all the kids are excited, and I've got 2 or 3 with me. I'm pretty sure I had to start a pitcher with me and another pitcher that ended up being a big leaguer as well. And we're just walking to the bus, and the bus, I knew the bus had cranked up and probably about the 7th inning. Well, anybody who's ever played for Mike Johnson, you didn't ever touch anything in the dugout. You didn't ever pack up anything in the dugout. You didn't even make a notion that the game was over until the last out is made. So I go to walk right to the bus, and I'm going to get on. Well, about that time, here he comes and steps out in front of the headlights. I said, "Coach, what's going on?" What is your bus driver doing? I said, "Sir, I already talked to him. I talked to both of them. They cranked. Yeah, y'all won. That was good. But that ain't gonna be good the next couple of days." He goes, "They cranked them buses too early. Y'all think y'all got this in the bag? It is not gonna be good. You know better than to do that. Just on and on. I'm going back to tell the bus driver again. That's just not good." And all I have said is, "Coach, how are you?" And then this is what got laid upon me. And the next thing I know, he's just walking off. And the 2 players standing there with me there, they were like, "Hey, man, who's that guy?" High school baseball coach. "That guy is?" "That's him." what's he talking about? Backing up too early. He's like, you always tell us not to touch our. Well, that's the point. But that's Mike Johnson in a nutshell right there. It didn't really matter where you were, what you were doing, or what the atmosphere was. I think he stayed consistent. There are a couple of standards that he had and a couple of things that he believed in. And regardless of what the moment was, he was going to express that to you. The last thing that I'll say in closing is to me, this is a big step. To a lot of people, it doesn't really ring home as much. But for a town of Georgetown, it averages probably 9,000 people, okay? And you got a high school that averages, throughout the years, I would say 900 students, okay? You got one high school baseball coach that coached 3 individuals that played in the NCAA College World Series. Folks, that's impressive. That's impressive. Clint Sawyer in '85, South Carolina Gamecocks. Michael, several different years that he was able to go as a player and as a coach. And then Woody Woodall right over here, who ends up winning a national championship. For those 3 guys to have one high school baseball coach in a town the size of Georgetown and play on this same field, that's impactful. And I'll close with this. 3 words that, in my opinion, describe Coach. The first may make you chuckle a little bit. Complicated. I don't know if you could ever really figure that guy out. I'm telling you. I never knew what was coming next, but it always had a little bit of wit behind it. And like many of that have spoke up here, many of you that are sitting out there already know, it had something that you could take with you for the rest of your life. And I know I've done that. Consistent. He was going to be consistent with you as a person, with his teams across the board, regardless of what the circumstances were. He was going to stand consistent. You were going to take your hat off when you went inside. That type of consistency. But some of that same consistency has allowed many others to grow and develop. And the last word that I'll use is impactful. The guy was pretty impactful. Maybe one of the most impactful folks that I have ever been around. And I'll be the first to tell you, there were not days where it was sunshine and rainbows. I can assure you of that. There were days where, man, I just can't, what is this guy even thinking? And I look back on it now, and it's probably more of what I was thinking. But complicated, consistent, and impactful, I think, describe him. Thank you, Miss Lisa, Michael, Megan, for asking me to come and be a part of this. Certainly honored. And Jason Ward, where you at, Jason? Jason would like to, all baseball alumni, you want everybody here? I mean, everybody. Independent Seafood. You've cooked a nice meal.
Yes, sir.
The rice ain't going to be crunchy. Okay. You said it, I didn't, so you're more than welcome to come by and spend some more time with us. Thank you all again for having me.
I'm old, so I just have a memory problem. I can't remember who won the 2010 College World Series. I think I just remembered. Let's see. I have one more speaker. How to do it, Michael. I was just saying, it's your dad's day. How can I work that in? But thank you, Kyle, for making that possible for me. Well, our final speaker, I promise you this is going to be entertaining because one of the funniest people I know to start off with is Brandon Brown. He's the sponsor of the Classic Baseball Tournament, a huge supporter of Georgetown baseball. He's a 2003 graduate of Georgetown and played first base. He was walking in the steps of the great Michael. Brandon's creativity can be seen throughout the Classic and also Georgetown High School Hall of Fame. Brandon sales manager of Coastal Chevrolet Cadillac, Paulus Island, South Carolina. All right, I know what you're going. I do not know what you're going to say, but I know how you're going to say it. So I'm looking forward to it, Brandon.
Well, I guess I'm batting last again. I was never a great hitter. I was a decent fielder, but never a great hitter. But so this is fitting. But very honored, obviously very honored to be up here. You know, in the 1,000 people that Mike Johnson coached, I probably ranked somewhere between 920 and 950. But when you start ranking people that love to ask him questions and talk to him, I got to be in the top 10. Love talking to him. Thank you, everybody that spoke. Little Mike was obviously very inspiring at 15 or 16, however old you are. You look 23, but I couldn't do that at 15. But anyway, I see Rodney Ward here. It's one of my guys. I remember back when I heard a story. I was back here, what is now the illustrious Winyah Bay Cafe. And Rodney Ward and Coach Johnson, two of the most impactful people I've ever met, but never cuss. I cuss. They never cuss. I've never heard them cuss. I heard Coach Johnson cuss one time, and it was him telling a story about someone else cussing. But him and Rodney are having what I would call a spirited conversation 10 years ago back here. And Rodney does that thing, if you know Rodney, where he's done. Mike's here. They're talking, and Rodney looks off, breaks eye contact. He's going to get his last word, and he said, "Well, Mike, you're just wrong." Mike walks off, Rodney walks off, hat off, kick dirt. I don't even know what they're talking about. I mean, but Rodney sees that I was watching. Again, just the most honorable man. Walks up to me and says, "I love Mike." Looks over both shoulders, mixing the mic in here, and he said, "He can be a real tailhole sometimes." To this day, I've never heard the words tailhole. Three words I use to describe Coach Johnson. Number one, firm. He was firm. My senior year, 2003, we're going to play Carolina Forest, first game of the year. IP Classic is that Thursday. We're all ready to go. Missing one guy, Daniel Langston. I see Jeb nodding his head. Jeb knows the story. Daniel Langston walks in. Coach Johnson, "Well, where's Daniel?" Daniel's not there. Daniel walks in, not just walks in late, he got a beard. That's the problem for Mike Johnson. You were clean shaven. If the Yankees can do it, well, golly, why can't we? Well, we don't have 27 championships, but I understand what your point is. Daniel comes strolling in, you know, first varsity experience, and Coach Johnson says, "That ain't gonna work. All that, whatever that ain't gonna work." Sends Daniel to the gas station to get a razor and shaving cream. Daniel comes back, and we're like, "I mean, can we leave?" "No, sir. We are one." Daniel comes back, goes and shaves. We're on the bus, go to Carolina Forest. We go through Georgetown, about to take a left on Gardner Lacey Road. He stands up on the front of the bus and just looks like this and just goes, 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, 12, 14, 17, 24, 29, 32, 39, 41, 46, 47, 48, 52, 59, 61, 60, 64. How about that? 64. Looks back at the bus, and we have no idea what you're talking about. Play the whole game. He just randomly, 64, huh? Daniel, you like number 64? Sure. Play the whole game, come back to practice the next day. Y'all probably wondering what that 64 was for, huh? Yeah, well, had Daniel been on time, them 64 cars we had to yield for, we'd have never seen them. So he made his point. He was firm. That's Mike Johnson. So at that point, from then on, he decided whenever it was time to leave, he's going to count to 9. Get on the bus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's go, Cleveland. And Cleveland Smith would drive off. Didn't matter if we had more than 9. We had 9. We could play. That's the problem for Jonathan Hamer. He ain't on time to nothing. But he bats second and is really good. So he'd come rolling up, we'd see his truck, and we'd open the emergency exit. Here comes Jonathan Hamer. Throw your bag on, grab you, get on the bus. We got him. And he, of course, he's just smiling. Man, just made it, didn't I? And people like Jeff Benson have been there an hour before. Well, one game he realized he forgot his belt. That's an issue. So we convinced him to put his bat bag strap as his belt. We're all walking with our bat bags over our shoulders, and Jonathan's carrying his with his hand. Coach Johnson just kind of sees it and goes, uh-huh. He doesn't say anything. He lets him play. Now, if it was me, I probably would have been benched, but he let Jonathan play. Well, the next day at practice, very similar to what Daniel did, Jonathan had to stand on the pitcher's mound. And we all had to run. And that was his way of teaching you what a team meant. So we were running again. And if I could tell Coach Johnson, I can promise you, this does not bother Jonathan Anger. Not one bit. So fast forward to the end of the year, we're going to play Stall. And it was one of the last games. And everybody knows when, let's say it collectively, when are you allowed to take your sleeves off? What date? May 1st. You can take your sleeves off. This game is probably May 5th, 6th. Coach Johnson's sitting in the front of the bus. And when I was a senior, I was like, oh, okay, this is my last time getting to kind of see this stuff. I'm going to sit in the front. We've let Jonathan on the back. I go in the front. Him and Coach Curry are talking. They'd be arrested for this today, but they get undressed on the bus and then dressed into their stuff. But they're just sitting there talking. Yeah, well, and they're talking about whatever. Then they put the pants on. And they put their undershirt on. They're just talking, whatever. And I'm sitting right behind Coach Johnson. Now, mine and his relationship, I ran a lot for my smart mouth. But he just kind of does this, and it looks, Look in your bag. Coach Curry. I ain't got it. And he's just befuddled. He turns around and makes eye contact with me, and I try to break it a little bit. Look again in your bag. Coach Curry, I ain't got it. I realized at this point he forgot his jersey. So we're playing Stall, and it's 138 degrees outside. And he looks and makes eye contact with me, and we both start chuckling. And I said, I have one question. What? Are you going to stand on the pitcher's mound while Coach Curry and Coach Isaac run like this? That's what I want. And he wore his jacket the whole game. And Jeff Benson would walk by him. Ain't you hot? Take that thing off, man. But he was superstitious. It was one of his favorite things to say when we had 2 outs. Hey, we scored 8 runs with 2 are out the other night. I was like, I don't remember that. Maybe I was in trouble for something I had to run in the outfield. But I would ask Jeb or I would ask Alex or somebody, hey, did I miss a game where we scored 8 runs with 2 outs? What did I miss? No. So I was the one that always, you go ask him. You've been in so much trouble, you go ask him. So I finally asked him, hey, question. What? When did we score 8 runs with 2 outs the other night? He said, 93. So you decided in 93 that from now on, when we have 2 outs, you're going to scream out, we're scoring 8 runs with 2 are out the other night. Like the other team was going to hear that and go, oh my God. And I said, so we won that game? No, we lost by 1. His shoes were always untied because he reached down to time one time in 1989 and Scott Parsons hit a home run, so he left them that way. My junior year, we had a week where we had 4 region games in 4 days. We went 4-0. He did not shower or change his clothes the entire week. That's an issue for me. I like to shower. No win, no eat. Anybody ever experienced that? You go on the road, you lose, you ain't eating. Okay? Well, I heard a story one time, I think it was in the mid-'80s, that this happened. They lost the game in Charleston. Somebody said, Coach Johnson, we going to get food? No, sir. You don't win, you don't eat. They said, well, good. We got to dance tonight. We're going to eat. He pulled into McDonald's. He gets out. They get up. He said, no, stay here. He goes, sits, gets some Big Mac, whatever, sits by the window, 1 French fry at a time. Takes a sip of his drink, goes and refills it. 1 sip, refills it, comes back. Looks at his French fry, drink, refills it. A little bit of bite of burger, drink, refill. You get the story. 30, 40 minutes passes. He comes back on the bus and there, oh, thank God. He walks in, Mr. Curry, you can go eat now. Needless to say, I don't think they made that dance. He did used to always tell us. I see Coach Branham in the stands. I remember Coach Branham's wife came by one time. I went to go give him a big hug. He said, "Not a hugger." But I did see him hug Carol Giroux one time, and he said, "We make exceptions from time to time." He was a winner. I loved to ask him about all of his great players. I would annoy the crap out of him and call him, and I would ask him, "All right, let me give you a situation. Runners on second, third, state championship. You can choose anybody you've ever had to hit." Oh, I don't know. We've had some great ones. The conversation seemed to always start with Scott Parsons. He'd make his way down to Pierce Taylor. I'd have to pull it out of him to say Michael. I said, "It's okay. He's proven he was good. It's okay to say Michael." He would mention Woodall, Will Wall, Massey. I love asking those questions. He always told me over and over that Pierce Taylor played the game of baseball the way the baseball is meant to be played. He always told me that. I said, "All right, you got to steal a base. Runner on first, 2 outs, state championship series, all time. Who you putting in?" We never made it past Chicken Mitchell. He always said Chicken Mitchell. What team never got the credit that it deserved? He always said 1993. All-time favorite home run in this park. He said Jeb Benson. If you don't know that story, Jeb Benson, 2003. Damn that water. 2003, Jeb Benson, senior night. Jeb batted last. I think he batted 217. Never hit a home run before. Never hit one after. But it was senior night against Conway, and Jeb Benson hits a ball about 8,000 feet over that wall. And Jeb reminded me that that's not the best home run he's ever seen, because, in fact, he was calling the score in to the Sun News that we lost when Jeb hit the home run. So Jeb never let him forget that. And finally, I would always ask him, all-time state championship series, 3-game series, I need 3 pitchers. Every time, same answer. Shawya, Hema. I need 3. Them 2 pitching won't be no game 3. I love that story. I get him to tell it all the time. As he got older, I got to spend a lot of time with him. I came to a lot of baseball games, and I always tried to spend as many innings with him as I could. And just like when I was a little kid, I asked him more questions than he was probably comfortable answering. But I got to see a side of him that I never did before. See, the disease he has is very sad. My father-in-law had it. It's a thief of time. But one thing it does is it takes the victim back to being childlike. And here's what I learned from childlike Mike. Number one, he learned to love his family. And he loved Lisa Owens. Loved her. Get him to say it. Different story. But he loved her. I'd sit right down there with him, and she'd go to the bathroom, and she'd go get a drink. Literally 30 seconds. Where'd she go? He'd get up and start wandering. Please don't start wandering. She coming back? She's coming back. How you know? I mean, she's coming back. She's just coming back. Might were her, I might not, but she's coming back. She back yet? No. He wanted to know where Lisa was. He wanted to know. Now, again, getting him to say it. Now, I think he's lying. I think he told Lisa, "I love you" all the time. But he tried to make us think he was, I don't do that. So I used to always try to bother him. I would say, "Hey, let's do this while she's gone. Why don't you call her? I'm going to call my wife. Let's go on the speakerphone at the same time. We're going to say, 'I love you.' Ready? Call your wife. I'm going to call mine. We'll say it. Ready? One." He said, "That's the silliest thing I ever heard." I said, why don't you say it? I show her. I show her I love her. What have you done to show her? "Well, I buried a dog for her last week." I said, "Man, that is romantic." And then he said, I said, when did you bury it? He said, "I think I forgot to bury it." I said, "So where is it?" He said, "Well, that's up there on the stoop on the house." I said, "So you have a dog laying there, rigor mortis is set in, and your dog is just sitting there?" He said, "Yeah, I got to do that when I get home." So, he said, let's see, I'm sorry. His body language always showed it. And there's a really funny story about whenever I was standing over here, Bradley Adams, I think I saw him earlier, he was here. And Coach Adams, if I mess this up, I apologize, but this is how I remember you telling me. He's talking about Coach's wife, how great is Coach's wife, the greatest Coach's wife ever. And he said, That's the problem with coaches today. They ain't got a wife like I got. That's him saying he loved Lisa. And I knew that. They ain't got a wife like I got. Man, she don't bother me. She knows I'm coming home when I'm coming home. And at that time, his phone rang. It was Lisa. Hello. Hey, I'll be home when I'm home, or whatever. And Bradley Adams standing there. He finishes talking to her on speaker with it up to his ear, by the way. And I always tell him, it comes out of there. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. But you just got one of these 5 years ago. But anyway, I'll be home then. All right, bye. Put his shirt pocket and looked at Bradley and said, that's how you talk to your wife. Bradley said, you ain't hung your phone up yet. He pulled it out and he said, uh-oh. Hung it up. 3 seconds later, he gets a call. It's Lisa. He said, hang on. Bradley said, no. You take that call right here. You don't walk away and take that call. You take that call right here. I miss his laugh. He had a couple of different laughs. The first laugh he had, you tell a little bit of a funny story, he just started breathing. You just start breathing a little bit. That means you had a little bit of a funny one. The second little laugh he would do, he'd go. The third one, he'd chuckle. But that fourth one, when you got him, he would bend like this. And he'd laugh and laugh, and he'd sit, and he had a dip coming down. He always had to wipe it. But I'll miss that about him. When he slowed down a lot, I tried to spend as much time as I could with him, but I remember we were going to Conway to watch, Mike was in 8th grade, we were going to watch the team. And it's like he's childlike. Lisa's standing here, it's after one of the games, and I said, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Lisa said, no, we're not going to that game. Yeah, well, we are. She said, no, we're not going. I can't take you. I said, I'll take him. He said, he'll take me. And now he's the kid. He's bartering, you know. So I decided to take him, and he shows up early. He's excited, and we get in my car. He said, am I driving or you? I said, I will be driving. You're not driving. So he goes and reaches for the door handle same time. Now we're in an argument. We're going to be late. Come on. I tell him the whole time I'm going to take him to get a milkshake from Cookout. Man, you ain't going to believe how many flavors they got. They got 380 flavors of milkshakes. You're going to love it. Okay. We go on 501. All right, it's milkshake time. They got Rocky Road, cherry cheesecake, chocolate peanut butter. We're going to go to Hardee's. Because that's Mike Johnson. He found it one time, and he worked for him. He ain't changing. I said, no, trust me, you're going to love this. You're going to love this Cookout. Come on, we'll just go in there. He said, I said Hardee's. Okay, so we're going to go to Hardee's. That's hard for me, so we pull in. What do you want? They got chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. He said, ooh, I don't know. Okay. So let's do strawberry. Takes a sip. Boy, that's good. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I should be having a cherry cheesecake milkshake right now, but we're not. But I love to get him riled up. I'd love to introduce my friends to him that never met him. I told them all about him. I said, hey, Coach, this is my friend Chad. He goes to a church, got a woman preacher. He said, I didn't go to church. That's a social club. One of a kind. But he cared about his players. In 2003, Jamie Dunn was going through a tough time, as he mentioned. And one day, Jamie Dunn shows up at our practice. And we didn't know why, but we knew there was a reason. You ever know that? Whenever you don't know why something, but you know there's a reason? And Jamie Dunn showed up at our practice. And he showed up at the next one, and the next one, and the next one. We realized he's doing something with Jamie Dunn here. We don't know what it is, but we knew he was going through a tough time. See the results of Jamie Dunn today? It's pretty powerful. What someone like Coach Johnson, who took someone in that maybe nobody else wanted to take in, but he took him in. Jamie spent the entire year with us. He went to Florida with us, and I can promise you, somebody learned how to play poker on the back of that bus when Jamie Dunn was there. They probably took their first dip, too. But he used to tell a story about Jamie Dunn. And he said 1999, they're playing Riverside in the state championship. They won Lower State. They lost game one in a heartbreaker, extra innings. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie. Jamie's out here during batting practice. So they're down 1-0. 1-0 in the series. They lose tonight, it's over. Season's over. Riverside wins. If they win, they go play a game 3. Everybody's real tense, and Coach Johnson said, it's always good to have all kinds on your team. And Jamie Dunn was like the comic relief on that team. So he said, again, everybody's just real tense walking around 1999. And everybody just looks defeated. Jamie's a senior. He loses, that's it. They win, they get one more game. He yells out from left center field, "Hey, yo, Coach Johnson." He turns, he said, "Hey, yo, if we don't win tonight, I quit." But he cared. He cared for his players. So I'm going to leave you with this. He was firm, he was superstitious, and he was a winner, but he did love his family. When I got to talk to him many times, he would always ask me, "You ever seen Little Mike hit?" Like, keep in mind, we're watching Little Mike, so he's getting toward the end. "You ever seen Little Mike hit?" "Yes, sir. He can hit." "You ever seen Little Davis pitch?" "No, sir, I haven't. You need to get off work one day and come watch him." So I did, and we sat there and watched him, and he can pitch. He always talked about how good parents Carrie and Michael are. He always tell me, "Hey, their boys say yes or no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am." They're always respectful, and he's right. Then I'd ask him about Lisa, and he'd do like this. "What is that?" "3. "Okay, she gets a 3. Out of what? 10? Out of 3. I've never judged anything with 3, so I don't know that. He says she's as good as it gets. Megan, he'd always say she works hard at whatever she does. But Coach Johnson is responsible for all the signs that you see. Well, excuse me, not all the signs. Most of the signs you see on that outfield wall, the most important one being Jesus saves. And it's like he dared somebody to come take it. But there's something I want to do now that I want to present one other sign. Davis and Mike, if y'all will come up, please. There's one other sign he used to have. That way you never questioned anything about him. And it sat above his office door. And it was this one right here. Coach West, you ever seen this? Yes, sir. My way or the highway. And if you ever, me a lot, question him, he'd walk, "Come here." Any questions? No, sir. So I want to give you guys this, because this sign was above the door. I got your dad's permission. It's not my property, but he took it off today. I want to give you guys this so that the next time you're playing Fortnite and your mom tells you, turn that off. You can say, "Mom, it's my way or the highway." Thank you guys so much.
Everybody's subject to getting those calls from Brandon. "Tell me the top of this." Just randomly, I'd be working, and he'd say, "Have you ever thought about South Carolina playing the 1983 team, the left side of the offensive line? What would you have done with that?" You know, just random, very random questions or lists. But we didn't want Brandon to go last, because he always says he goes last. So the coach's lifetime friend and lifetime supporter of all things Georgetown, Mr. Rodney Ward. He's still here. He's old. There he is. I thought I forgot you, didn't I? I did.
Lisa, Mike, and Megan, and the family. It's a great honor for me to say a few words about Mike. Mike Johnson was a great man. Not only that, he was a great friend of mine. We go back many years. Our friendship started when we was 13 and 14 years old. Of course, Mike was 14, I was 13. Played in the Pony League right here at East Bay Park. Of course, he was 2 years older than me by grades. I was a sophomore and he was a senior when we started the baseball program at Winyah High School. But when Mike graduated, of course, he went to Erskine, and when I graduated, I went into Army. And Mike got back here. I got out of the Army in 70. He was back here in the area and started the baseball program at Howard High School. And I was married in 1971. And many times I would go to the ball field during the Howard days, the Winyah days, and the Georgetown High School days. supper would be made, and I was still around this ball field. And Ellen would ask, say, where you been? Well, I've been in some long conversations with Mike at the ball field. And that's been on for 60 years, probably, being a friend of Mike Johnson. But we played ball, we played football and baseball at Winyall. And I had a squirrel dog, and Mike had the woods. And our football coach at that time was J.C. Hudson, and he wanted to go squirrel hunting. And several weeks ago, prior to Mike's death, he was over at Georgetown High School at a football game. And, of course, this bad disease that he had, we had a short conversation. And this squirrel hunting day was some 60 years ago. And Mike said, Rodney, I don't know if he called me Rodney or not, but he recognized who I was. He said, you remember when we went squirrel hunting? We killed about 12, 14 squirrels. And that doggone Coach Coach Hudson, he took all the squirrels. He didn't leave us none. And he went back about 60 years ago. And of course, it was sad for me to see him in that shape. But every time I saw him, he might didn't call my name, but I know he knew who I was. But moving on, during the years, I helped him coach. He wanted me to coach his JV baseball team at Winyall. I did that for some years, and I coached some at Georgetown High School. And I helped him out there, and we went on to all the Florida trips. Gosh, I bet I probably went on all of them. When it come sometime in February with the Daytona race, that's when we'd go to Florida for that long weekend. And gosh, we had some good times down there. And I always remember, he said, Rodney, you're going to do the devotion that morning. And I did some filming and helped Coach Curry and Coach Isaac out. And he always used to say this. He said, Coach Isaac, Coach Curry, and I'm going to include you, Coach Ward. These guys has only got so many throws this weekend, so let's don't use them all up in one day. And I tell these young kids today, you only got so many throws, so you save that arm. Save that arm so you can finish up your high school career and possibly go to college. I remember Mike, these kids had to be, as a grandchild, they were 11, 12 years old. And I remember Mike at the ball field at 8 Oaks. Mike told these kids, and I'm a believer in this too. He said, guys, when you go to the plate, when you strike out, do something dumb at that plate. Do not come back to the dugout and do not take it on the field. You make a bad play in the field, do not bring it back to the dugout and come up to plate. Forget about it, you're not going to get it back. You're not going to get it back. And that's something I hope all these young kids, young athletes would know. Everybody's going to strike out. Everybody's going to make an error. So forget about it and move on and be that player. Mike, these umpires come to Georgetown. I was one of them at the time. I umpired about 10 or 12 years here, and I called here a good bit. But Mike would intimidate those umpires. It started at home plate at the meeting, And that umpire, these umpires better be on the toes because he's going to test them. I can tell you that. And I remember one night, I think we was playing Andrews because Arthur Smith was here that night. I don't know who the player was, but he hit one left field. And I was here. I was standing right back here. And that ball hit the playing field, bounced, and hit the scoreboard. Ground rule double, right? Oh no. Coach Johnson come out the dugout. He started telling those umpires, that ball hit the scoreboard, and that scoreboard's out the field. It's a home run. He changed those umpires' mind. Then they called it a home run. That bunch of Andrews went crazy. I said, man, he got over that quick, didn't he? But that was something I never forget. He changed those umpires' mind. And he could do that. He's coaching the team. He's always inning or two ahead of the game. He's not right there that inning. He's trying to figure out what's going to happen next down the road. And that's the way he treated these umpires too. You better be on your toes. And I'm just going to take some notes. Most of y'all don't know this, but Mike was a heck of a football coach, assistant football coach. And when y'all, I think he did some at Georgetown. But Mike, if he was on the offensive side of the ball, he could figure that defense out, where a play would go offensively. If he was on the defensive side of the ball, he could figure out how to stop the offense. He had that knack. He had that knack. And that's the reason Mike was the coach he was today. Hey, he was tough. I can tell you that. He was tough. Just like that sign said, my way or the highway. Hey, every one of these kids that play here, they felt that one time or another. But at the end of the day, Coach Johnson, we want the best out of those players. When they cross that white line, and come back, play your best. That's all he wanted, just for you to play your best. He pushed that. He pushed it. And in closing, again, when I got the phone call from the Sun, I couldn't handle it at the time. Ellen had to do the talking, and it hit me pretty hard. I couldn't. People started calling me and wanting to know this and wanting to know that, and I couldn't talk to them. I just couldn't talk to them. Me and Mike Johnson have been through a lot. Through the Booster Club at Georgetown High School, we kind of came up with a plan and structure the way it is now. He felt like everybody should pay the part. He didn't like the idea of having general fund money where everybody's getting, some of these teams are getting some money that ain't earned it. So we come up with a plan where every team supports itself, and it's working. It's working today. Every team has their own fundraiser and stuff like that to support their teams. And that's one thing Mike and I is still in place, and I'm very proud of that. And this field, I remember we had wooden benches when I played here. We had wooden benches in front of the fence over here. Clay field. Spent a minute time over here with Mike trying to figure out what we're going to do and what he wanted to do. He had a vision. It took him many years to do it. But folks, what you see here today, because of Mike Johnson, he didn't quit with it. He kept pushing, doing things. I remember one of the first press boxes we got, Choppy High School, discontinue something over there. And I mean, John Brown, he went, he got the press box. Later he told him, well, I got it, but it's up here. You come, if you want it, you got to come get it. He's already installed his press box in this park here. So, but I can remember that like it was yesterday. But this field wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for Coach Johnson. He had a vision. He lived it. And it's a beautiful park. You won't go nowhere else to see a park this nice. In closing, I do know Mr. Summey, David Curry, Kay Richards. Kay Richards used to sit in the dugout here. Most of you probably don't know who Kay Richards was, but Kay was a long-time mentor to Mike. And he would sit over there in the dugout, and he would say, hey, Mike, do that. Don't do that. And Mike would listen to him. And then Ernest Britt took pictures. All those guys and some umpires, James Elliott, J.C. Bennett, Danny Isaac, some more umpires. They all in heaven now. And guys, I can tell you, they are trying their best. If they hadn't found a field yet, they're gonna find one or either make one. I can tell you that right now. And we got some former players that's up there with them. So I grant you, good things is happening in heaven. And again, I remember we put that sign back there. Jesus says, he said, let's see who make us take it down. That sign's been up there a long time. That just tells the story. I heard people mention that sign out in the left center. That's Mike Johnson. That's Mike Johnson. Lisa, I love you so much as everybody else in this room. I want to see you. And we're here for you and your family. There won't never be a game, somebody promised you, without mentioning Coach Johnson. His presence will be here. His presence will be here. Thank you.
As we wrap up, I'd like to have Mayor Carol Jerome come forward.
Thank you. Earlier this week, Ridgeway Funeral Home was contacted by the governor's office regarding a special tribute to Coach Johnson. The governor expressed his desire to honor Coach Johnson's legacy by sending a formal letter of recognition. It is my honor to read this letter today. Dear friends and family of Mr. Johnson, Peggy and I were deeply saddened to learn of Coach Mike Johnson's passing. Coach Johnson was truly a remarkable man whose lifelong dedication to teaching, coaching, and mentoring left an enduring mark on the Georgetown community and beyond. A proud native of Georgetown and graduate of Erskine College, he devoted more than 5 decades to shaping young lives through education and athletics at Winyah, Howard, and Georgetown high schools. With 744 career wins and a 1988 4A state championship, Coach Johnson's accomplishments on the field were matched only by the respect and admiration he earned from generations of students and colleagues. The naming of Mike Johnson Park stands as a lasting tribute to his legacy of leadership and service. As you reflect on Coach Johnson's life, please know he earned the respect and admiration of many. We hope you find comfort and strength in the love and support of family and friends. Our hearts and prayers are with you during this difficult time. Yours very truly, Henry Dorgan McMaster. In addition to the letter, the governor has dedicated the flag that is currently flying over the State House today to the memory of Coach Johnson. In the coming days, both the original letter of recognition and the dedicated flag will be presented to the Johnson family by Governor McMaster's team. This presentation will serve as a lasting tribute to his legacy and will express the community's profound gratitude for his unwavering commitment and service. Thank you. Please begin.
Thank you, Mayor. As we wrap up, Billy Owens of the Winyaw Bay Cafe, fame in Fort, well, we'll say fame. Him in red gloves, doing some cooking, I believe.
Hello, everyone. This is going to be short. My role is really to represent the family and thank you all for being here. All the volunteers, all the coaches, all the support of the family for the last week's just been incredible. Also, on behalf of Lisa and Megan and Michael and Carrie and Mike and Davis and Alicia and Anna Lane and all the extended family, this was a great day. We were all celebrating Mike. I got to play baseball for 4 years with him and football for 3, and I've learned a lot of lessons. I got to be his brother, and more importantly, I got to be his friend. And just the stories at dinners through the years, he'll live on forever. So, with that, we're going to extend this gathering. One of the great things he's left all of us, John, is just this community feeling, right? And the brotherhood of being on a team, like the Howard team, my team. I've reunited with players that I played with here at this event. It's a wonderful feeling. So the family wants to invite you all over to Independent Seafood. It's at the end of Cannon Street. And as mentioned, Jason's cooked a great Perlo. And we're cooking hot dogs in Coach Johnson's honor. And we got chopped onions, and we have family-made chili. So we're inviting all of you to come on over and continue the stories. We want to keep this thing going. And I want to close by, on behalf of the family, we're very excited that we were able to set up a memorial fund in Coach Johnson's honor. And he left such a great legacy, we want to extend that for further generations. So you all probably have seen there was a handout in the folder. No contributions too small. What we hope to do, Lisa and the family, is really to have a fund that can extend baseball through scholarships and through other interests that align with Coach Johnson going forward. So we ask for you, the family, in lieu of flowers and other things, would much appreciate you considering supporting that fund. And Mike will always be remembered, and we'll keep that going. So thank you all very much.
Yes, finally, there's a song that kind of signifies the way that Coach Johnson did it. So after this is played, everybody please head over to Independent Seafood. Lisa, we love you. Megan, Michael, Carrie, Davis, Mike the third, you did a fabulous job. Thank y'all. Love you all. Frank Sinatra.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I live a life that's full. I travel each and every highway.
John, we got the former players that laugh. Great to see you. I said, don't touch the birds or anything.
What I had to do.
No event can end without a little Lee Greenwood. God bless the USA. All the players are supposed to do a lap. Former players, current players, we can walk. God bless the USA. Do your lap, boys.
Just my children. Thank my lucky stars to be living here. But the flag stands for freedom. The man who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
What do you want?
Good job,